Hello guys, welcome back to Invest with Dan. If you are new here, my name is Dan, and this is where we have real conversations about real money. Today's video is one I have genuinely been looking forward to making. Stocks or real estate? Everyone has an opinion. Most people are mixing half the picture. Today, I am not giving you a boring comparison. I am telling you the story of David, a 25-year-old who tried both, lost with both, and figured out the one truth that changes everything. Stay with me. This is going to be good.
Stocks or real estate, 2 words, 2 investments, and 1 argument that has been going on in finance circles, family dinner tables, and comment sections for decades, with absolutely no sign of stopping. Now I could give you the boring textbook answer, but instead I am going to tell you about David, a 25-year-old who tried both, lost with both, and then finally figured out the one thing that determines whether either investment makes you wealthy or destroys you completely. David is 25 years old, sharp, hardworking, hungry to build something real with his life. He wants to invest, not someday, now. So he does what most of us do at 25. He asks his parents, and his parents, like so many parents around the world, give him the classic advice passed down through generations. Buy land, David. Land is good. Land always appreciates. If anything ever goes wrong in life, you will always have something to fall back on. Was that bad advice? Absolutely not. Land has created generational wealth for families all over the world. Real estate is one of the oldest and most proven wealth-building vehicles in human history. But here is where the story takes a painful turn. David buys land. He is excited. He tells his friends. He tells his family. But when it comes to the legal documentation, the process of properly securing ownership of that land, David cuts corners. Maybe he did not understand the process. Maybe he trusted the wrong people. Maybe he thought it was not that serious. It was that serious because one day the government comes knocking. Development project, infrastructure expansion. David is not properly documented. His ownership is not airtight. Just like that, the land is gone. Here is a critical legal truth that applies in most countries worldwide. Governments have what is called eminent domain, the legal right to acquire private land for public use. Even with perfect documentation, compensation may not fully match market value. But without proper documentation, your negotiating power is essentially zero. You may receive nothing at all. David lost the land, lost the money, and was left with nothing but a lesson. He had paid far too much to learn. Now David is hurt, angry, searching for answers. And one night, scrolling through his phone, he stumbles across the stock market. Videos of people turning small amounts into large ones, charts going up, success stories everywhere, and David still stinging from the land loss, desperate to recover, thinks, "This is it. This is how I get it back." He opens a brokerage account, does not read a single book, does not consult a single person who actually understands markets. He goes straight to the hottest stocks, the ones trending online, with promises of quick returns. He puts in everything he has left. Within weeks, it is gone. Now I want you to ask yourself something. Was the stock market the problem? Was real estate the problem? No. David was the problem. Specifically, David's complete lack of knowledge was the problem. And this exact journey plays out for millions of people every single year. Real money, real losses, for the exact same reason. Not because the investment was bad, because they went in without the knowledge to navigate it. Let me give you the real numbers. Between 1992 and 2024, the S&P 500 delivered an average annual return of approximately 10.4%. Over that same period, home prices grew by approximately 5.5% per year, and from 2014 to 2024, just the last 10 years, the S&P 500 rose by over 300%. Real estate indices over the same period, about 42%. Now, before the real estate community comes for me in the comments, let me be completely fair, because those numbers do not tell the full story. Real estate offers something stocks do not: leverage. When you buy a property with a mortgage, you control a large asset with a relatively small deposit, and if that property generates rental income while it appreciates in value, your actual return on your initial investment can be extraordinary. Commercial real estate historically delivers average annual returns of around 9 to 9.5% when income is included. So here is the honest bottom line. Stocks deliver higher average returns, better liquidity, and lower barriers to entry. Real estate delivers more stability, tangible value, leverage potential, and income generation. Neither one is universally better. They are different tools for different stages of your financial journey. Now, I need to address something directly. The idea that you can become a millionaire overnight in the stock market is one of the most dangerous myths in personal finance. That is exactly the mindset that led David to lose everything. The real wealth in the stock market is not made overnight. It is made over years, through patience, research, and discipline. The people who truly lose everything in the stock market almost always make one of three mistakes. They buy hype stocks with zero research, they invest money they cannot afford to lose, or they panic and sell when the market dips, and the stock market becomes one of the most powerful wealth-building tools on the planet. Now let me make the full case for real estate because it deserves one. Here is a perspective I want you to sit with. Every single company you invest in through the stock market has a headquarters, has offices, has warehouses, has data centers, has physical space somewhere in the world. Amazon, Google, Apple, Tesla. Every single one of them exists inside real estate. Real estate is the foundation upon which every other investment is built. You cannot fully separate the two. They are intertwined at every level of the global economy. And beyond that, here is the practical reality. Real estate is generational wealth in a way that stocks simply are not. A well-built, well-maintained property can serve a family for 50, 70, even 100 years, depending on construction quality and upkeep. It is something you can see, touch, rent out, live in, pass to your children. Stocks are powerful, but they are digital, numbers on a screen. For many people, especially those building wealth across generations, the tangibility of real estate matters deeply. But here is what David's parents forgot to tell him. Real estate is not just buying land and waiting. Real estate is property research, proper legal documentation, understanding government and zoning laws, knowing the difference between residential, commercial, and agricultural land, understanding rental yields, calculating maintenance costs, understanding how leverage actually works. Real estate is a business, not a passive savings account. And just like any business, the people who win are the ones who treat it seriously. David did not do that. And the market, as markets always do, rewarded the prepared and punished the uninformed. So here is the question that actually matters. Not which investment is better in theory, but which one should you start with in practice? And how do you eventually use both together? Here is my honest recommendation. Start with stocks. Not because stocks beat real estate in every single scenario, but because stocks meet you where you are. You can buy into the stock market. With $50, you can buy a single index fund that gives you exposure to 500 of the world's largest companies for less than the price of a meal out. Real estate, even in its most accessible form, requires real capital upfront, down payments, legal fees, agency costs, maintenance reserves. The barrier to entry is real and significant, so the sequence that makes the most sense for most people building from scratch looks like this. Step 1. Build your financial foundation. Emergency fund. No high-interest debt. Basic budget in place. Step 2. Enter the stock market. Start small. Start with index funds. Learn the market from the inside, while your money grows quietly. Step 3. As your portfolio grows, as your income grows, as your financial knowledge deepens, begin positioning yourself for real estate. Research markets. Understand legal requirements. Start saving toward a deposit. Step 4. When you have the capital, the knowledge, and the right opportunity, add real estate to your portfolio, not as a replacement for stocks, as a powerful complement to them. The wealthiest investors in the world rarely choose one or the other exclusively. They hold both, because both serve different purposes. In a complete financial portfolio, stocks give you liquidity, growth, and accessibility. Real estate gives you stability, leverage, tangible value, and income. Together, they create a portfolio that is diversified, resilient, and positioned for both short-term and long-term wealth creation. You do not have to choose. You just have to sequence correctly. Now let me bring it home with the lesson that ties David's entire story together. David's problem was never real estate. David's problem was never the stock market. David's problem was that he was making expensive decisions with cheap preparation. He heard advice and acted without understanding. He saw opportunity and moved without knowledge. And the market, whether stocks or real estate, does not reward enthusiasm. It rewards preparation. Here is the truth about both investments. In one sentence, both real estate and stocks are genuinely powerful wealth-building vehicles. But in both cases, your knowledge is the engine. Without it, neither one works. With it, both can change your life. Real estate is golden, but it requires documentation, legal understanding, patience, and long-term vision. Stocks are powerful, but they require research, discipline, and the emotional strength to hold through volatility without panic selling. Knowledge is not just power in investing. Knowledge is the investment. Everything else, the land, the shares, the portfolio, those are just the vehicles. What you know determines how far those vehicles take you. So here is your homework. Before you put a single dollar into either investment, research before you buy. Understand what you are purchasing. For real estate, understand the legal landscape of the country you are buying in. Know your documentation requirements. Know your rights. For stocks, understand what you are buying. Know the difference between a quality long-term investment and a hype stock with no real foundation. Start small in both cases. Build your knowledge alongside your capital. And remember what David learned: the hard, expensive way. The investment does not fail. The unprepared investor fails. Get prepared, get knowledgeable, get started, and then stay patient. Stay consistent, and let time do what time always does. To disciplined investors, it rewards them.
And that is the full story of David. 2 investments, 2 losses, 1 powerful lesson. Your knowledge is the engine. Without it, no investment works. With it, both can change your life. Before you invest a single dollar, research what you are buying. Start small, stay patient, and treat every decision seriously. If this video gave you clarity, please like it, share it with someone about to make their first investment, and subscribe if you have not already. New content every day. Real money, real strategies. I'll see you in the next one. Stay building.